Good afternoon, students. We'll be continuing with our chapter 2, part 3, that is defect management. So, part 2 was software metrics, and part 3 is defect management. So, first we'll be seeing what is defect. So, software defect or bug is a condition in a software product which does not meet a software requirement or end user expectation. So, if there is no end user expectation or a software is not working properly as the functions provided, so that can be termed as a defect or a bug. In other words, a defect is an error, is a problem in coding or logic that causes a program to malfunction or to produce incorrect or unexpected results. Yes, in other words, I can say defect is a problem in coding logic, how you maintain the code. In that coding logic, you have a problem that is not giving you a proper output what is actually expected, as well as the program has malfunctioning, means some wrong input is being given and some wrong output is being coming out. So defects are classified from the QA, that is quality analysis team perspective, as priority, and the form and from the development perspective as severity. So there are two classifications, that is priority and severity. So first we'll be going with defect severity and priority. First one is priority. A priority of a defect indicates the urgency with which it would need to be fixed. Priority means the urgency, the ranging or the sequence in which actually the requirement is at urgent. The priority status is usually set by the QA team while raising the defect. The priority status of that particular coding or that defect is set by the quality analysis team, and the defect priorities are categorized into three classes, that is high, medium and low. So the high condition is when this defect requires immediate solution as it affects the testing process, as it is on the testing process. So high condition, high priority analysis or defect requires testing immediately, so the defects can be solved. They should be resolved within 24 hours. So the duration for high priority defect is 24 hours. Medium is these defects are fixed after all the critical defects are fixed. All the critical condition high priorities are fixed, after that medium conditions are being taken. When a defect causes a program to not function as expected, but it does not lead to entire blockage of functionality, then the defect can be categorized as medium priority. Means it is after critical condition solving, it is not somewhere affecting the functionality of the software. That time we can categorize it as medium priority. Low priority is an issue which has no impact on the customer business, comes under low priority. Means it is not considered as customer output service, so that time we can say it is a low priority defect. Next is severity. Severity is defined as the degree of impact of a defect has on the development or operation of component application being tested. So severity is the degree of or level in which there is an effect on the particular software at the development or operation stage where the application is being tested. So defect severity is categorized into four classes. So defect severity is categorized into four classes, that is critical, major, minor and low. So critical is this defect affects critical functionality of the software. It indicates complete shutdown of the process, nothing can proceed further. So shutdown of the process, restarting the phone, complete failure of a feature, that is it is not giving a click also on your system, so that can be considered as critical severity. Next is major. Major defects are high severity effects with functionality of the software. So there is functionality problem. there is a workaround, but it's not easy and obvious for users to understand. So users will not be able to understand the wrong functionality, which can be considered as major severity. Minor functionality, minor severity is this defect affects minor functionality somewhere at a lower level than major, but as well, which is not very critical. It's not very critical or urgent. It causes some undesirable behavior. Undesirable behavior means which is not expected by the user, but the system is still functional. So system is working, but it is giving you undesired outputs. That is, functionality is not working from a module, but the same functionality can be accessed from another module. So one input is being taken, another input from another module is not taken. So this can be the unexpected behavior of the function. Then low is this defects do not affect functionality. So there is no concern with the functionality for low severity. These are generally cosmetic defects and does not impact on productivity. So it does not affect on productivity. They are just normal defects and efficiency of the software. So they do not rely on efficiency and productivity. They are just dependent on the severity. If low level, it can be solved easily. Next is defect management process. So when we talk about the whole severity and priority, high and low remains the same. That is major, minor, high, low, all these. Only one conditions are different, that is critical and medium. That is major and minor. Medium is divided into major and minor. Low is same, critical and high. So these are the bifurcations of priority and severity. Again, next is defect management process. So defect is an unexpected behavior of the software. So unexpected output when you are getting, we say there is a defect in the software. All software have some defects. There will be some defects in all the softwares. 100% defect free software is not possible, as we had learned this in the prior chapters also, that 100% defect is not there, is not possible. Defect free software is not possible at all. Elimination of bugs from the software depend upon how efficiently its testing process is carried out. So elimination of bugs, removing the bugs, is only possible, or it's only dependent upon how efficiently we are testing the process, or how testing process is carried out over the whole SDLC life cycle. So a defect is basically the difference between expected and the actual. So we had learned this prior also, that a defect or a bug means what? I am expecting something and I am getting actual result as different. So this can be termed as a defect. So for defect management, we have a certain levels of defect process and which we have to follow. The first one is defect prevention. So this is a process in which defects are prevented to improve the productivity. Before happening, it can be prevented with certain steps. So that can be termed as defect prevention. So for that, we have, as discussed earlier, it is not possible to eliminate all the defects at the start. At the start, we cannot say we can eliminate everything, that is, it can be defect free, but somewhere precautions can be taken for certain levels for errors to occur. Then next is deliverable baseline. So baseline is when a deliverable, that is system or software, reaches its predefined, then the deliverable becomes baseline. A product should be considered baseline when developers pass it to the tests for testing. So deliverable baseline means when it is deliverable for testing processes by the testers, that time we call it as a deliverable baseline. Defect discovery. In this phase, defects are identified. Defect discovery here is the phase when you can just find out the defects and they are identified easily. So there are certain steps to find out the defect discovery. First is finding a defect, report a defect, that yes, here the defect has been found out, and acknowledge the defect, that is solve the problem, and again inform that yes, this defect is been removed, that is acknowledgement. Next is defect resolution. So once testing team has identified and informed the development team about the defect, so the testing team informs first identifies and then informs the development team that yes, there is a defect, and development team should start working towards resolving it. Now development team has to remove the solution to perform a particular solution to remove that defect or bug. The project manager must prioritize the defect and fix it. So the project manager needs to prioritize that this defect is need to be highly prioritized to be solved, and higher priority defects are fixed first. So the higher priority defects will be fixed first, they will be given first chance. Once the defect is fixed, once the defect is being fixed, what will happen? Testing team should inform so that resolution can be tested and verified. Again, the testing team the development team will again tell the testing team that yes, this is being solved, please verify it so that we can move further. This is done in the defect resolution. Next is process improvement. So for a process improvement, everyone in the project needs to look back and check from where the defect was originated. So every level will have to look back one step that yes, did in this cycle the problem was there, or this defect was there in this cycle level. So we have to check every time from where it got originated. Based on that you can make changes. So on that basis you can make the changes in the validation process and baselining document review process, which may catch the defects earlier in the process, which are very less expensive. So early stages, if we do the validation, make the changes on that, and if baselining the document is done, so this may cost in less expenses in the process improvement. Then process improvement involves activities that can predict potential software defect from test data. So further we can set in potential to improve the software without a defect, or defect free test data can be made. So this is process improvement. Then defects removal efficiency and defect density, all these things can be considered in a process improvement. So next is defect reporting. So for defect reporting you have defect life cycle. So defect life cycle has n number of stages, but before that, once the defect is identified, it must be reported. Once identified, as we learnt in the defect discovery, that it needs to be identified, report, and then acknowledge. Likewise, they have said here that once defect has been identified, it must be reported to the authorities. That defect goes through different stages from the time it is reported till the time it is fixed. So these are the stages from which once reported until they are reaching the fixed level, that is fixing level, they have to go through many stages. These are the stages, that is new, open, fixed, retest, closed. Open may be deferred, new may be rejected, fixed may be reopen, retest, that is retest, reopen, fix, retest, reopen. Here the cycle can run multiple times. So these are the levels in which your particular defect life cycle works. So we'll see each and every stage. First one is new. New is, this is the first state of the defect life cycle. Yes, as you can see, this is the first stage of the life cycle. And when any defect is identified, when you get to identify these defects and logged, it is in a new state. So first, when you log into that particular defect, it is in the first stage, that is new stage. Next is open. The newly logged defect is assigned to development team for solving. So the team will be appointed, that is the development team, and this is generally done by the project manager of the development team. So who is going to work? Development team project manager is going to work on this particular open stage. And in open state, the developer goes through the defect to analyze it. To analyze what is the problem, the developer will go through the whole code And if the developer feels that the defect is not valid, it is not actually important, or similar defect have been logged, then the defect is transferred to reject state. If that if it is not as compared to that level, high level priority, then it can be easily solved, then it can be gone into deferred stage. If not, it can be fixed. But fixed, what is there, if the developer has worked on the defect and resolved it, then it moves to fixed state. So once developer has opened the problem, solve the error, and once it is done, it will move to the fixed state. Once fixed state is done, retesting of that product is being done, that is, it is being checked every time. If there is problem in the retesting, again it is gone into reopen and fix stage. If not, then it will move to the close state. That is, once the testing teams have checked and verified the defects and are sure that defects does not exist any longer, so the defect is then moved to the close state. If there is no any defect, they can move to the next state. If not, they will be, if there is no problem, they can move it to the further reports. So for this particular topic, we'll stop here. We'll continue in the next lecture. Thank you.